Ignorance is bliss. You may have heard that, huh? Ignorance is bliss. The dude who first said that, back in ancient Roman times, he talked a lot. He said a lot of things. In this case, what he said would be better translated as life's pleasant when you know nothing, because ignorance is a painless evil. Yeah, well, still an evil then. Ignorant ain't the same as stupid. Stupid is being slow to learn. Ignorant is not knowing things. It's being too lazy to learn or actively trying to frustrate the process. Over the long term, a stupid person is better off than an intentionally ignorant one. There's no shame in the fact that we all start out ignorant of everything. When we're kids. Long-term ignorance isn't natural. We evolved brains to figure things out. Because ignorance can get you killed. It can make you lose everything you care about. It can get your whole species wiped out. Ergo, not bliss. Sure, there's stuff that's uncomfortable to know. Like this. You're gonna die. I'm not saying this week. But, for certain, in the hopefully distant future, you'll be a dead person. That's a fact. If you somehow missed hearing about that, well, now you know. No need to thank me. It's just another free service I offer, along with random mutations and the violent overthrow of galactic governments every other Thursday. On special today, here's a bonus fact. Today's systems for detecting asteroids that might hit the planet and kill us are woefully inadequate. A lot of asteroids are noticed only after they've gone past us. And of course, it's safe to assume that there are others that we never noticed at all. The problem is, we have no idea how many, because we can't count them, because we never see them. We should probably see about fixing that. Actually, that's a good example of ignorance on a planetary scale, not knowing where the asteroids are. I could go on. I could talk about human-caused climate change, or the fact that in a few years there will be more than 8 billion people on Earth, and each additional person walking around and eating and breathing increases the chances of picking up a nasty virus from somewhere, and our easy ability to fly around the world lets diseases spread and become pandemics. Or we could talk about nuclear weapons and how close we've come to setting them off on multiple occasions after World War II. So many fun facts to choose from. It really is exciting to live on Earth in the 21st century. Roll those dice, baby! Turn the news on! This is gonna be great! Alright, okay, these are uncomfortable pieces of knowledge to grapple with. Would you rather be unaware? Actual ignorance means you can't take any steps to prepare. I mean, unless you yourself happen to be President of the United States, in which case, I'm sure we'll talk later, some of this stuff you personally can't do much about. But we should all do what little we can. And as for the stuff you can't affect, I wouldn't dwell on it over much. You'd never pull yourself out of bed. But don't pretend it's better to not know. Like those asteroids. What you don't know won't hurt you has never been said about an asteroid. Ignorance is bliss. Alright, here's the more accurate version. Persistent ignorance is a privilege. Think about racism. If your skin looks like mine, you can afford to be ignorant of racism. If your skin happens to be a darker shade, you can't. You either have the privilege or you don't. In general, some of us can afford to be ignorant as long as the rest of us cover for them. We don't hit kids with memento mori when they're 6. We give them some time to adjust to grade school popularity contests first. One crisis at a time. Meanwhile, we adults cover for them by buying life insurance. or installing blast shields and killbots to defend the house. Whatever's your speed. Science is the enemy of ignorance. It's the pursuit of truth. So's journalism. Very similar pursuits in a lot of ways. Yep, knowing facts that suck sucks. What sucks more is to not know what sucks. But you know what sucks even worse than that? The real bottom of the barrel? It ain't what you don't know, it's what you know that ain't so. That's usually attributed to Mark Twain. Guess what? That ain't so either. It's not clear who said it first, actually. Better to admit when we don't know stuff than to make stuff up. If you're not totally ignorant of your literature, there's this dystopian book you might have heard of called 1984. Written back in 1949, when 1984 still looked far off in the future. Written by George Orwell. When someone says our politics have gotten Orwellian, that's what they mean. What's Orwellian about today is a lot of people knowing what ain't so on purpose. In 1984, the book, that's what they would call doublethink. Today's politicians call it alternative facts. Did you know that people who watch Fox News know less about the world than people who don't follow the news at all? Yep. Like refusing to accept that humans are changing the climate. You can pretend it ain't a problem, especially when it's good for your pocketbook. So that's the motivation for rich people to say this stuff. And that surprises nobody with half a brain, but what's everybody else's excuse? This is worse than ignorance. This is... ignorant people sit on the sidelines while problems get worse. People who know what ain't so, they actively work to frustrate the efforts of the rest of us who are trying to keep us all alive. We can't afford this. When you're trying to stop forest fires, you might have a few hundred firefighters in your mid-sized town, but how many arsonists does it take to screw it all up? Maybe just one. But Fox News would be the arsonists in this metaphor. You know what an analogy is? Like Beth is to a lioness as Jerry is to a garden slug. Okay, here's an analogy for you to try. Facts are to survival as alternative facts are to alternative survival. Yeah, you don't need to use the scary E word. We'll just redefine survival a little bit. Like, maybe what we've built will survive. Some of the buildings. Well, actually, it doesn't take too long for nature to reassert itself and erase all signs of human habitation. All the plastic that we've manufactured, though, that's going to survive quite a while. In a layer of the Earth's crust and in the oceans. If there are any aliens out there, and maybe in a few tens of thousands of years they pop by, they'll probably find the plastic. Little traces of us. Hints that we were here. Let's call that alternative survival. Or maybe you like to think of time as a real thing. Actually, it's not. Well, then you could say, today, in the 21st century, we humans are alive. We're here. We made it this far. And, regardless of what happens in the future, this is an unerasable fact of history that we made it this far. And nobody, not even ourselves, can take that away from us. It's in the universe's permanent record. Yep, that's alternative survival. It's another way of saying we had a good run. But if that's not good enough for you, then it's time to lock up the truth arsonists. All right, I gotta go. Remember to like and subscribe. No, whatever. Honestly, I don't care about your opinion. Peace among worlds, chumps.